It's time to embrace it. The Community Podcast, exploring the intricacies of personal growth, mental health, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Topics tailored for a global audience. Now, let's talk about it with your host, Bracy Goodwin.
One of my favorite words. Hey, how y'all doing today? Good afternoon to everyone. I want to say hello to everyone that is joining in on the recording, and I appreciate you taking out your time to join in. My name is Bracy Goodwin, and welcome to the Embrace It Community Podcast that I'm having today. It's going to be a really good show. It's going to be a really good topic that we're going to be talking about. And, you know, just really getting started like I do every week. One thing I do is I like to talk about the sensitive stuff, the sensitive areas of suicide prevention. That is one area I like to talk about. Suicide prevention. I'm an advocate for suicide prevention, and I want to tell everyone, if you're ever feeling alone or there's no way out, please dial 988, which is a 24/7 hotline that you can call. It's a crisis hotline, and they will talk to you and walk you through the steps to let you know that we do need you. You do matter to everyone here. And so I always like to do that and get that out the way. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I'm going to be talking on topics dealing with mental health, and suicide prevention is one, and then also sexual abuse. And that's what this topic is about today. It's a little sensitive topic, so I want you all to be sensitive. If you're watching in front of small children, I want to go ahead and let you know just to be sensitive in that area if you do decide to have them to tune in on that. And then I want to say hello to all of my followers that are following me from all over. I have followers from, over in Nairobi, Kenya, over in Pakistan. I have followers over in Dominican Republic as well. And so I want everyone to subscribe and rate and review the podcast. Let me know how we're doing. Let me know how I'm doing on this, because this is not your average podcast where we're talking about the stuff and all of the gossip that's going on in the world, but this is homing in on you, homing in on the community. And that's why I like to say, let's talk about it. So join the community on the social medias we have. We're on Facebook. All right. And we're on Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. I need everybody to go to YouTube this weekend after you finish watching this Sunday evening, and go like on YouTube for me. And trust me, when I'm asking you, that's going to help my word and the word get out that I'm doing. And the more people that I got following me on YouTube, the better off this will be for the Embrace It Community Podcast. Now, the Embrace It Community Podcast is nothing without you following, without you listening, without you liking. So I need you. I need you there. Also on Instagram and TikTok as well. And then here's my email. Take my email down as well. Embrace It Community Podcast at gmail.com. Embrace It Community Podcast at gmail.com. And that's how you can email me directly if you would like to not so much have it posted on the actual streaming or anything like that, but if there's something that you want to talk about in private, confidentially, yes, please let me know. Email me. Modern technology now, you don't even have to call. You can just shoot me an email or shoot me a text or anything like that. So if you shoot me an email, I get notifications on my emails as well. And so that's how I want you to help me out. Will you do that for me? I also have a Cash App. And I don't really talk about it too much on here, but I want to go ahead and let you know that there is a Cash App, because everyone knows it takes money. It takes money to keep things going. So if you want to help the Embrace It Community Podcast, please go ahead and take my Cash App information down, share it with someone. Okay, you may not be able to, and that's okay. I'm not asking anyone to do anything they cannot do. I'm only asking if you would like to donate towards the Embrace It Community Podcast. It's a tax write-off too. Okay, so I can give you all that information as well. So please don't forget to do that. And so I just want to put that up here this week. This is the first time I'm actually having it on this week. So I'll just keep it going. I'll keep it going. I'll keep it showing, and I'll keep talking about it. I keep putting it out there because you don't have because you don't ask. So I'm asking, if you want to, if you can, would you don't mind, just go ahead and cash that on over. And then I'll thank you later. I thank you guys. We really thank you later for doing that. So good show today. Good show today. And I have a co-host who I'm going to bring on today. And I'll let her do the introduction of who she is and what she has going on. She's a really good person here in the Texas area. Marguerite Mells is a certified life coach and a family wellness instructor. And I asked her to come on today to help me in this segment today because it's sensitive, and sometimes it takes not only just hearing it from my voice, but also hearing it from a woman's voice as well. So will you do me a favor and welcome to the stage my co-host today, all right, Marguerite Mells. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Marguerite, certified life coach, family wellness instructor. Tell me, talk to me.
Listen, God called me years ago in my early 20s to life coaching. I didn't know what that was,
Right.
but I had the heart to help people. I even have the heart even more so to help women because I've gone through some stuff just as, well as everybody else has gone through some things. And what I've overcome, I want to show other women how to overcome, whether it's sexual abuse, any type of abuse. I would like to be a part of helping others to get past, to get over,
right,
and to overcome what they've experienced. Yes,
it's so hard to do that. So we're going to get in, but I want everybody that's listening and that's going to be tuning in to feel comfortable, and it's okay. Just right now, it's okay because I'm going to be transparent. I experienced something as well. Oh, before I move on, I want to tell all of my veterans because on Monday, 26th, is also Memorial Day. So I'm a veteran. Thank you for your service, all the veterans as well. So I want to get that out there. I'm sorry.
Right.
But now, let me just do this right quick before we get into this, because I believe as a believer to invite God into this conversation.
Yeah.
So let me just open up with a quick word of prayer, and I'm not going to be very long here. And Lord, I'm asking your presence to come into this conversation. Please, Lord, give us the wisdom and the healing for all those who will hear this message is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So now, sexual abuse in the faith communities, in the church, out the church. Now, here's my experience from it all. And the first person I told this to in an open setting in the community was one Sunday. I was in San Antonio. I was at a church. It was a men's day, and they said, "Bracy, we would like for you to give a 5 to 10 minute speech or whatever." And I had no clue because they called me off the top of the cuff, and I heard the Lord just drop in my spirit, talk about what you've been through, and I was like, "Whoa!" So the heart was racing, and I got up before the congregation. And I just said, me too. I had a teacher, he was Catholic priest as well, in Brooklyn, grew up in Brooklyn. And I didn't know. I mean, I had to been 5 to 6 years old, had to been the oldest. And I can't call it for sure, had to be called up. But for some reason, this teacher would always call me up to the front and have me sit on his lap. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think nothing strange of it. Maybe he just really was trying to help me in my learning because I had a learning disability. But then as we're leaving the classroom, he would put me in the back of the line and hold on to me in the back of the line and start rubbing on me. And I still didn't know. I didn't know. Now I'm being transparent. I'm just being honest with what went down. And then one day he took me to his house for lunch. He took me to his house for lunch. He made lunch. I don't know what it was, but something about it. I always carried, I don't know why I did, but I always carried a bunch of keys. I love keys. And I had it on my belt. And I had the keys on me. And for some reason, they were in the way. And he said to me, "Oh, you with these keys. Oh, I can't do anything with these keys." And that saved my life. The keys.
Wow.
Symbolizing of these keys. And so we were leaving his house. He didn't do anything. I still, in my mind, didn't recognize what he was trying to do because I was too young. I didn't know, and I didn't know who to tell. And so as we're walking back to the school, the older boys started taunting him, calling him, "You faggot, look at you, faggot," this, that, and other. And we're walking, and they started pushing him and everything like that. And it didn't dawn on me even as at that age. It didn't dawn on me until I got older. And I said,
wow.
whoa,
Wow.
this man, you know. And so I carried around that frustration and that anger. And I said this to the congregation. I said, but it's nothing but the grace of God that kept me and protected me. And the keys that I had on me protected me from an experience of sexual abuse. Yes. Did he fondle me? Yes. And all that stuff. And I got angry. I got angry that now I was angry at anybody that was a Catholic priest, angry at anybody that was even in that lifestyle. You know, I had a problem. I was really, really, really angry. And I still feel a certain kind of way because it traumatized me, you know, and I just have to be sensitive to that and be like, don't take it where they call it, "Oh, you're just homophobic," and whatever the terminology that they use. I'm like, no, it's not all about that. That's your life. That's you.
Right.
But don't come my way with it because we're going to have a problem, you know? So I had to really just tell that story. And a lady said to me after the service was over, she said, "Thank you for sharing your story. My son is dealing with the same thing."
Wow. And
I touched one life.
Yes.
And I said, whoa, thank you, God. So this is where I'm at on this journey. There's so many people, so many. So help me out. You know, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
The first thing, and I want to first thank Lady Perry for thinking about me. I like to talk, first of all.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about experiences. Thank you for that, for sharing that, Bracy. And thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you sharing that when you were small, it also took me back. When I was 15, my parents didn't really go to church, but they made us go to church. Okay. And I asked my mother, could I have a job at the church? Because the reverend at the time, he needed help in the office. Well, my mother had already trained me for administration or office work so early. So I wanted to work. Went to work a couple of times, and then it something didn't seem right. He was kind of, because it was just he and I in the whole church.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just running off, I'm telling my age, the mimeograph machine, running off the programs and things. And all of a sudden I started feeling, I didn't know what it was, but I started feeling this eeriness, I was uncomfortable around him. And he came into the little area I was working at, and he said something to me, and I, my mother, teaching us manners. Yes, sir. So he said, can you come into my office? I said, yes, sir. I'll be there.
Okay.
Went around the corner, went into his office, and it was pretty big, pretty sized room. And next thing I know, I'm being chased around the table, the desk, the office desk. I was 15.
Okay.
Maybe 14, 15,
wow.
Able to work.
Wow.
And I was running around the desk, and he was trying to corner me and was moving one way to stop me from going in another direction. I finally broke out, and I left the church, bust out of the door, left the church, ran home because the church was right around the corner from where we live. Okay. I ran home. My mother said, you back home early. Are you okay? I says, Yes, stuttering. I'm fine, Mama, but I don't want to go back to work at that church. That was the last time I worked at that church. As long as he, was reverend.
So let me
And
ask you, can I ask you a question?
sure,
At that point, when mom asked you, is everything okay? What do you think stopped you from telling the truth?
that's a good question because when your mind is not fully developed,
Right,
you
right,
automatically
right, right,
don't want to get the other person in trouble. He was the reverend of the
right.
church. My parents knew him. He knew our family,
Wow,
amongst other, and I didn't want to get him in trouble. I didn't
wow.
know, I had no idea what would happen to him if I did say something,
Okay,
but it didn't matter. I just didn't want to get him in trouble.
wow. And
And I
and
just
that's
never saw
and
him again.
never saw him again.
Never saw him again.
Yeah,
I
yeah. And
refused to go back to church.
so how do we do this? How do we do this? Because I, I'm trying to figure out how now can we help those that don't have the voice and they know because we're in a totally different generation, and now we see it coming out. We got the Gateway Church, being exposed. We have a gentleman from Ohio trying to expose TD Jakes now, and it's being exposed. Donnie McClurkin, telling what went on. I
Yes,
experienced even in the church where I was in a group, we was in a singing group, and there was another singing group there, and the gentleman was trying to signal me to call him, and I'm like trying to display that, but I never said nothing to anyone.
yes.
And here's the thing: it has to stop. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it, Margaret. How do we help people? How do we do this? What do we do? How do we have a heart conversation and feel okay? How do we do that to these?
I think personal exposure helps people open up. There are a lot of people that don't want to be transparent, and that's in a lot of situations, especially traumatic situations. They
Right.
don't want to be transparent. They don't want to. They don't want to be found out. They want to help others, but I think part of that is in fear of not disclosing what they've gone through.
Okay.
Not being transparent. I think being transparent, especially when I'm life coaching, it seems like God is always sending me a client. I've already been there, done that. So
Okay.
it makes it easier for me to be transparent because
Right.
I've already. The second thing is we have to be honest. We have to be uh, not honest. We have to be understanding.
Understanding. Right.
It
Sensitive
has to
and
be a
understanding. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
It has to be
Yeah.
a no judgment zone.
Right. Right. Right.
Most times when I'm talking to a client, they tell me some stuff,
Some stuff. Right.
and I
Right.
really have to sit there and just look at them like I really didn't hear it. Although I'm processing what they're saying, so I can help them.
Okay.
But my platform is a no judgment zone.
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
No judgment zone whatsoever. And then I believe we have to believe them. I don't think people are just going to open up to you and lie the whole time. We have to
Okay.
believe them.
Right.
I
That's true
understand
too.
you've gone through this,
Yes. 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 I understand. Yeah. You
but let's
know.
try to move away from that. Let's try to move, not forget it,
Right. Right.
not forget it,
I forget it. Right.
but how do we teach people to forgive and move on? You
And
really can't move forward without forgiving.
without forgiving, and that's what I had to do. I had to acknowledge the pain that we carry in silence, and I did have to come to a point, and I had to forgive that person. I had to forgive them,
Yes,
and I had to also affirm God's heart for justice and healing, because
yes,
I know there are so many that are dealing with this and may not know that God heals your heart and will take care of whatever needs to be done
Yes.
in that situation. Uh,
Yes.
the, there was a flyer that I want to see if I can bring this up, and I think it's a girl,
Okay.
little girl with the tape over her mouth, whatever effects. I think
Oh,
that's the
yes.
one. Let's see if we can get that on. Yeah, it's just it talks about this one here. I was told 4 close family members. They told me that I was now damaged good, and that I should keep this secret within the family. And that's where this mental health starts. The,
Yes.
the family, our family, and I just did an episode on family. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of times they tell us to
Yes.
keep quiet. And I never could understand, even when I watch movies about that, and where
Yes.
the mother would turn on the child and think the child is lying, like you said, or not telling the truth. Why
Yes.
in our culture is that the generational curse from slavery, keep your mouth shut, stigma that we've always been told?
I believe it is. I believe it stems from that. But what family don't understand when you do that, that victim is still a slave.
Yes,
Is
yes,
still in bondage, held hostage to the very thing that that ruin them. And so, well, not ruin them, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
And when we do that again, what I just said, you have to believe them when they say,
right.
what they say.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And how sexual abuse affects spiritual development and faith too. It,
Yes.
it can really pump the brakes on that as well. Especially when a case like yours. What if you were to be in, and I'll give you this scenario. You
Okay.
went to a church and all of a sudden you saw that person. How would that affect your worship now that you're in this building? You would probably just shut down or leave.
Or leave. Correct.
And that's
Correct.
the thing that we have
Yeah.
to identify, that some people deal with that. Some
Yes.
people deal with it. In the families, in the church, in the workplace, they keep silent instead of saying, no, I'm going
Right.
to talk about this. I'm going to talk
Yes.
about this. Wow. This is good. This is really good. We're trying to figure out a way to help people. And that's why I got you on the show. And I want you
I'm
to
sorry, I
talk
have
about.
allergies.
Oh, no problem. We all do. My ears and my eyes be itching me. So
Yeah,
this
mine's
is crazy.
watering now.
Yeah. How do we help people move forward? How do we do that?
Well, let me go back. I want to say this too.
Okay.
Um, as a result of sexual abuse in my own family, I got nieces, nephews. Okay. And one day in church, I was looking at my nephew. He's maybe 28 now, but he was 8 years old. And I kept, watching his movements. So I went to my niece and I walked up to her and I asked her, who did you leave him with?
Mm,
I'm not going to say the name. Who did you leave him with? She says, what are you talking about? I said, who did you leave him with? Of course, she was in denial,
okay.
but I saw it just as clear as day.
You saw it.
And
Yeah.
I saw that spirit just as
Oh,
clear
wow.
as day.
Wow. Wow.
And to this day, sad to say, full gray, full, where you go. I mean, I see him on Facebook. I don't, I still want to keep up with him. And I feel so bad that I did not pursue that with her.
Okay.
But I didn't want to offend her at the same time. You see what I'm saying? And so he wears the nail polish and the girl, the crown and princess crown and all of that to this day. And it just makes me sad when I see him. So the parents they cannot be in denial.
That's the part. They're in denial. Or
They
they're accepting this is their choice and this is, but it's deeper.
exactly.
It's deeper. It's deeper.
It's much deeper. I had a sister, she's passed on, and we had that conversation because I think three of her children, uh, as a result of sexual abuse, are living another lifestyle. And so she had a picture on Facebook and the rainbow, she was in a parade
Okay.
and so I called her and I said, "What's going on?" So she told me da 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 da. I said, um, "Your children." She said, "Well, I want to support them." I said, "But why?"
Right.
And she told me, "Well, because they're my children. I want to support them in whatever they do. I want to be there for them." I said, "You can support and love them without accepting the lifestyle."
Right. Right. You can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't offended or anything, but I had to share Bible with her.
Mm-hmm.
I said, God tells us to love the person, but hate the sin.
Hate the sin. Right.
But we have a problem if you don't see it as a sin.
Right.
So
Right.
I just left it like that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just said,
Now,
okay.
now, even when you're dealing with mental abuse, mental awareness, and we're talking about sexual abuse, that is the topic today. Um,
Yeah.
but even with men that struggle with pornography,
Right.
because they were abused, and
Yes.
were told that they wasn't going to be anything. You wasn't. Hey, I am being transparent again. Had
Yeah.
stepfather, and cousins laughing at me. He ain't gonna never get no woman. He ain't gonna never. Cause look at him. He doesn't know. Oh, we lost her, but we'll get her to come back on here and see what happened. But yes, it's all mental. It is all mental that people deal with. And so we have to be aware of what goes on the mentalness about this. Now, here is a hotline that we want to put out here. And Margaret, this is a hotline for the sexual abuse. If you don't
Okay.
feel comfortable talking to us, we can share this information and have people chat online.rain.org,
Okay.
RAIN.org. And so they can chat with someone one-on-one. And it's that technology, smartphones, however you want to do it, wherever you want to do it in your own privacy, get on there and talk to somebody about
That's
what you're
great.
dealing with mentally when it comes
That's
down to
great.
that. Because the pornography, like I was mentioning before you dropped off, but the pornography, the sexual abuse, and being told you're not, and being told you can't, and being told you would never, all of that played a game in my head.
Yes.
It played the game in my head, and I found myself
Absolutely.
being so promiscuous out there with just, I mean, oh, look, I'll be transparent. I heard that ugly spirit said, you can have anyone you want. Look, they're all looking at you. They all want you. They all,
Yes.
and being a musician in the church,
Yes.
that was it. I mean, I was
Yes.
at that point and I could, but it was wrong because not only because it was wrong, I was married
Yes. Okay.
at the time, and I put a post on my page about being transparent about how I had to go to my ex-wife and ask for forgiveness, and not only just ask for forgiveness, but here's what I did. I
Yeah. Yeah.
did with this one. I did with this one, and I'm sorry I did that.
Yes.
Not only was that healing for me, but it was healing for her to go on and now
Yes.
being
Yes.
remarried herself and everything. So I had to really get the grips on that mentally, it's a mental game we deal with when
Yes. And
gosh,
then there's no healing without acknowledgement.
acknowledgement. Thank you. Oh my gosh, yes, that right there. You have to want to and be okay with acknowledging that this is an issue for me.
Yes.
And that's what's now being we've seen it with other artists, recording artists. But think about all those other artists that didn't do it. Think about all the pastors that are dealing with this and still haven't found healing in this. Since we're talking about the faith-based community,
yes,
okay, let's just be real. How many pastors are sitting up in the pulpit preaching the word of God because they have the gift? I had the gift to play. I'm up there playing. You happy till you sweat. We all got the gift, but on the inside, we're dealing with some dark mess that really need help. And so I'm making this statement here. If it's you watching, like I told on my Facebook page, if it's you watching and you need help, go ahead and type help in the chat and we'll get to you on outside of this. All right. If it's not you want to talk to Marette, just text help, Marette help. She'll talk to you outside of the chat. Text me, come to me, and let's talk about this, because this is a no judgment zone. All right.
Yes.
Because we got the wounds, we got the scars, we've been bleeding, we've been doing all of that. So, and here's her email address as well. If you want to email her, we're here to help somebody. That's the whole object of this podcast. I want to help somebody break free of this foolish mess we've been thinking that we can keep quiet and be okay. Because here's what happens. Now, we're holding on to this. Say I'm holding on to this and I'm going to get married. Now I'm bringing all of this mess into my marriage. I'm carrying all of this into my marriage. And every time they try to talk about it or ask me a question about it, what if I was still addicted to porn? And then all of a sudden she catches me on the porn. Well, baby, why are you on porn? You're right here. And I can't even talk about what you talking about? In denial.
Yes.
We gotta be able to talk about this in the house. Talk about it with your children. Talk about it with your loved ones, that it's okay. It's okay. Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
And Bracy, you said something that made me remember. Now, when I was married, my husband, I kept noticing some feminine ways. I mean, not really noticeable, but I'm an observant person anyway. And I says, okay, I just shrugged it off. Well, something came up and he acknowledged that he had been fondled by a family member. He wasn't watching porn or anything like that, but it was something else I can't remember. And when he shared that, I said, I was saying to myself, that's why he moves like that or whatever. Now, my husband was a man.
Right. Yeah.
But like you said, he didn't share it. He kept that to himself.
Right.
There were some things he was keeping to himself, which we do when we get married. We don't unpack everything out of that luggage. We still got stuff in that luggage. And I shared with him, we got past that. And I was very graceful, and we got past that. And then I shared with him about how I was raped by my first husband.
Wow.
And he has some issues. Now, we were high school sweethearts.
Okay.
But later on in the marriage, I don't know what was going on with him that he raped me. And it was pretty traumatic. So I did share that with my second husband. But the thing is, my second husband used it as ammunition towards me later on.
Wow.
So I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people don't share.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Their traumatic experiences.
And we try to be upfront and honest and transparent, because I was in a relationship where I was transparent about this very same conversation and what I experienced and how promiscuous I was. And that person tried to use it against me when they got angry at me. This is why this worked, because you was too busy doing that. And I'm like, I didn't share this with you for you to use this and throw it up in my face. And I said,
Yes.
I will never tell you anything ever again. Needless to
Yes.
say, when we no longer married because, she tried so many times to just damage me mentally without
Yes.
going into details. Police called on me 12 times, and I'm like, whoa, I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
Yes.
But all this trying to damage me, and it didn't work. And I heard the Spirit say, run, Forrest, run. And I got up out of there. And I said, whoa. And here was a person I thought I knew back from New York because we both grew up in New
Yes.
York. We knew each other from
Yeah.
then. But I had to think about it. I said, well, when I knew her from New York, I met her while I was fooling around on my life. And I wound up fooling
Yes.
around with her.
Yes.
So that whole spirit 20, 30 years later, she was all messed up. And so
Come on.
we don't talk. And this is why I said, I'm going to be transparent, and I'm going to set the boundaries in my life, and I'm going to make sure I'm in a good mental place moving forward so that I can definitely be a help to somebody, because a lot of people, this takes practice. This is not easy.
No, it's not.
Being where we are, this is not easy to do, because
no, it's not.
If you deal with anything like I do, some stuff of depression, I dealt with depression, because of so many failed marriages and so many things that I've gone through before. And I just had to say to myself, no, you are okay. You are okay. It's going to be all right. God loves you. If nobody else don't love you, He loves me. And I had to really tell myself that over and over again. Then I had to start getting some scriptures to go with it.
There you go.
And see what the word of God was. And I came across Ephesians 5 and 11. And I know it's more part to it, but this is based on exposing the darkness. And it says, take no part of the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them.
Expose them.
That
Why are we not exposing? Like you said, in the church.
In the church.
The church is supposed to be a place, an asylum.
Place of rest.
It's a place of safety, security.
Yes.
I used to tell at a church that I belonged to, we had a discussion after a Wednesday night Bible study. And somebody brought up the fact that, pastor is my water and all of this. I say, yeah, but what we need in these churches, if at all possible, are coaches, psychiatrists, psychologists, mentor. We need those type of people because your pastor can't do it all.
He can't.
And they don't have all the answers.
Exactly.
There are people sitting up hurt from the night before, or being taken advantage of physically from the night before or during the week. And now, it's time to go to church. They're still feeling that's still on them.
It's still on them. Yeah.
Who do they go to?
Who can you talk to? Right.
Who can you trust?
Who can you trust? That part.
And that's it. Who can you trust?
And that was an issue for me. And I allowed it one Sunday, just here recently. I was dealing with something in a relationship, that I was seeing someone. And I got so angry and frustrated at the person. And I woke up, I couldn't even perform in the duty that I was called to do in church.
Yes.
And I said, whoa, I had to be like, If this is not allowing me to minister in the capacity that I'm called to do, then this relationship is no good for me.
Yes, sir.
And I got out of it. I got out of that relationship. So I've learned to pay attention to the signs and the triggers that help me. And I'm trying my best here on this show to help someone else, to help someone get to this point where they can walk like the way we walk. How can we reach you? How can we reach you, Margaret? And let us know the best way to contact you. Tell us all the good stuff and where we can find you.
The best way to contact me is through now I have 2 websites.
Okay.
Is https:// artistmcooper.wixsite.com/peppermintlc.
Peppermint LC. I like that. Where did Peppermint
Yes.
LC come from?
I know it's like tender loving care. I didn't notice that until until later on. Peppermint LC. And the other website. Now I'm going to bring this up.
Yes.
I'm a new author.
Oh, yeah.
God has me in a place of writing lyrical poetry stories for women.
How can we find the book? How could they find the book?
Okay, you can go to https://artistmcooper.wixsite.com/soul-salsa. I know that's a mouthful.
But we'll leave it up, so people can jot it down and take a screenshot of it.
And that's where they can get the books. One is called The Intelligence of a Woman. The other one is called The Many Stories, the Book of Many Stories, MINI, the Book of Many Stories. And what they are, they're actually now fictional. So everything I write in those two books actually happened for me. And I'm writing about relationships. I want women to be a little bit more discerning and careful about who you come in contact with in your relationship. Recognize if he's a salesman. Recognize if he's a puppet master.
True.
Recognize those things.
That's right.
You got to be watchful and careful.
Yeah.
If you would allow, I would like to bring up mental health points.
Yes, please do. Yes.
And most people, they don't realize that they have mental health challenges. They don't realize it. They really don't.
Right.
They feel like what they do or what they say to others, that's just them. They don't know that they have mental health challenges.
Wow.
There is no indicator light that goes off. Warning. There's nothing there. Warning, there's something wrong with what you just said. Now, I'm saying this because I just departed from a BFF relationship. I've been knowing her for maybe 10 years.
Okay.
And I always say, you never really know a person until you come in close proximity to that person. It's the same as knowing Jesus. You never really know Jesus until you come into close proximity to Jesus.
That's good. Yes.
So when I was in close proximity, I was invited in, because to temporarily stay. But anyway, I noticed some weird things. And it just blew up and got totally out of hand. I mean, her character.
Okay.
I didn't know that she was real. I kind of knew, she was like that. But I still befriended her.
Okay.
And kept her as a friend.
Okay.
But I really noticed the mental health challenges that she faced.
Wow.
And it stunned me. It took me back. But I thank God for Holy Spirit gave me a level, response. I responded with I wasn't up here, wasn't down there. I just, it was just even.
Did she accept any of your advice?
Let me tell you, for 2 years, I coached her. I life coached her for 2 years.
2 years. Yes.
She was pulled out of a place, a really dark place, into a place where she can move forward. So yes, all those years, she accepted the things that I was telling her. She was the only one on a Bible study line for a whole year. So she soaked up everything again, but in close proximity, it was like I was never her friend. Coming out, cussing. And I said, she actually cussed. I didn't know she cursed like that. Called me names, all kind of filthy names and all that. And I'm saying, okay, yeah, I knew she had some mental issues going on, but
And that's what we try to figure out what triggers that. What inside of them triggers that.
Exactly. But you know what I studied on? I want to bring this point because it might help somebody.
Yes, yes.
I studied on a system called reticular activating system, RAS, RAS. And what that does, that's located in our brainstem. Okay. And it acts like a filter for incoming information. Okay. And it's helping the brain decide what's important and what can be ignored. That's the key.
That's the key. Right.
People with mental challenges, they don't ignore the things that they should ignore. Okay. And they can't make proper decisions. And if we don't ignore the things that we should ignore, okay, in life, it's just like it creates a trigger. It creates triggers.
Right.
And this is why some people just go off. Just go plum food. Like just go off. Yeah. And in that RAS system, they also always focus in on the negative, never to focus on the positive.
Never the positive. Ooh.
And so this is what I saw in her. Everything was negative. Everything was full of fear. I'm afraid to get out the car because that dog next door is going to attack me. You know, crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And I'm not going to go into all of that. Yeah. But that reticular activating system has a lot to do with mental health. The mental instability, it can be caused by a variety of interconnected factors like biological or psychological or social or even spiritual.
Yeah.
And you'll find most people with mental health, they function well, but they're actually disconnected.
Do you think that we all do? Everyone deals with something mentally from a time to time?
I do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I do.
I don't care if it's in the White House or the outhouse. Everyone does.
Yes, everybody does.
Right.
For some, it's long lasting. For others, it's only temporary.
Correct.
But everybody does.
Yeah.
And that's only because of what we soak in, that sensory information, what we, receive from our environment. You know, I gotta say this right quick.
Go ahead.
My middle son, he's 47 now. I think, I don't know how old he's, 45. But anyway, when my middle son was just 4 or 5 years old, he don't watch cartoons. He don't watch funny movies. He's sitting there watching the world news. And so
wow.
He got up one day and he came to me in the kitchen. He said, "Mommy, why people be doing this and why people be doing that?" And I'm concerned. And I'm looking at him, I'm concerned about what?
At an early age.
At an early age. And he was soaking all that information in.
Yeah.
and what I had to do was stop him from watching the news.
Okay.
And so you're a child.
I get it. But maybe that's just where his mindset was at that time. He was on
exactly.
As the old, what was the soap opera? As the World Turns.
As the world turns. It was turning in his head.
In his head. It was actually because it's strange to say that, because I recall 8, 9 years old in the basement of my parents' home, and I was putting on the records, and my stepfather had a reel-to-reel and a microphone to it, and here I am talking about the record and who made it, and it was, like I was the radio disc jockey, and I'm sitting there doing it. Then I would go from that table over to the other table, and I would read the pamphlets that the Jehovah's Witnesses would drop off, and I'm reading it, and I'm
Okay.
reading it, and I'm like, and so one day it clicked in my head. He said, "Boy, you were already walking into where you are today.
Yes.
What I'm doing with
Yes.
podcasts and speaking at my church and having,
Yes.
and talking about life and being a good listener, no judgment.
Yes.
We were actually walking in our calling at a very early age.
Exactly. And that's why we have to always do a self-evaluation check of where we are, especially in different stages of our lives. We must do a self-evaluation check.
What's a safe way you can tell the listeners to do it? What's a safe way, and so that they will feel okay? Because here's some things that a lot of church people get, and they get it wrong.
Okay.
Danger of forgive and forget without accountability. Okay, protecting reputation versus protecting people. The church, they get it wrong. Like we did. You ran home. You were protecting him and not protecting yourself.
Yes. Yes.
So how do we help the people that are watching and listening on knowing the difference in the two? How do we help them out here?
Okay. You know, the first thing that came to my mind, always put you first.
There you go.
It may sound a little selfish, but it actually isn't.
Right.
If you learn to put yourself first.
Love yourself.
Think of yourself first. Love yourself first. Right. Because the truth of the matter is, I just told this to my daughter-in-law yesterday. You cannot give away what you never had. So if you never put yourself first, how can you, if you don't love yourself first, how can you love someone else?
Wow.
You can't. It's impossible. If you don't put yourself first. My mama used to tell me this. I know I got to say this right quick. My mom used to say, always pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Put your money away first. She said, I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's $10, $15, $20. Put it in the envelope, but pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Because it's going to benefit you later.
Yeah. So
that's why.
Hang out with me. Hang out with me. I got some slides I'm going to put up since you're here, and I love your company and I love your energy that you give it. But I remember a song by Layla Hathaway, and you get a chance to listen to it. It was Layla Hathaway live, and it was called Mirror. Listen to that song. And it's talking about love yourself like no one else can.
Yes.
That has been my motto, and I play that song over and over to me, so that I learn how to love myself like no one else can. And that's why I always come on the show and say, I love you because I love me first. I say it.
Oh my.
Every show that I do, I put that on the end. But we got some slides that we want to put up here about sexual abuse and just talk about them a little bit, that we're going to throw up here. And we're going to talk about the rain. And here's the breakdown of the locations where sexual assault occurs. You believe it or not, 55% are near the home. And then 50% in an open place. It's broken down in ways that you would never think. 12%.
Wow.
The relative's home. Remember we talked about that, the relative's home. And then 10% in an enclosed public area that's such like a garage or parking lot. What about the schools, in the bathrooms, under the bleachers?
Come on.
Now, and then here's on the school property, 8%. I think it's more than that, but this is what it's talking about. Where the breakdown is when we come down to sexual assault. So there's some reasons why. I like that one. Bring that one back up too. The reasons why sexual assault victims don't report, and we just talked about that. Shame,
fear,
and the self-blame, embarrassment. I'm already being talked about at home. So when this teacher was trying to sexually assault me, I didn't know. How can I go home and talk? Because I didn't have a voice, my counselor told me. Right. I didn't have a voice. So how can I go home and talk about it if you don't have a voice in everything you're trying to talk about in life as a kid? You're being told, shut up, you're so stupid.
Oh my God. Yes.
So how can we go home and talk about sexual abuse and then the fear, like you said, of being disbelieved? The fear.
Mhm.
That's the fear that
That is a real
resonates.
fear.
Every time you wake up with that fear. And we all know that fear is a sin. Worrying is a sin.
Yes.
This is why we need to talk. Okay, close relationships with a predator.
Ooh.
Now, I got 7 granddaughters. No, 6 granddaughters and 1 grandson. And I promise you today, and I'll say it on my show, let somebody touch them in the wrong way. Okay, grandpa gonna catch a case. You know,
I know that's right.
like just send me some oodles and noodles and I'll be out here. You know, believing the encounter was not rape, and that's another thing. We believe that it wasn't rape. We believe that it wasn't sexual abuse or sexual fondling or a sodomy and all of that stuff. We didn't believe that. Worrying about retaliation, that's the first thing they like to do. You say anything, I'm gonna kill you, your mama, and everybody like that. These are the words that come into your mind. The lack of confidence in police response. There's a lack, even in law enforcement response.
Yeah.
Then there's the perception that sexual assault was not important enough to report.
Yes.
So that's not we need to see something, say something.
And I'm going to ask you this question, because this is what I experienced with my last husband, but I also see it as sexual abuse or sexual, especially in a marriage. What is it when your husband demands for you to please him in whatever way or manner?
Right.
But you're starving.
Right.
Sexually, you're starving.
Right.
He's already called me names, already put me down, already don't nobody want you, already, bringing down my esteem. Yep. But according to him, I was still required to please him.
Right. You know why?
Go ahead.
His perspective. Because he's a selfish. If this wasn't a rape, he's selfish. I'll leave it like that. There's a name I put on the end of it, but he's very selfish.
Yes.
And all of his thinking and all of his upbringing, it's all about him and not about you.
Yes.
And the man has no clue that sex doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts first thing in the morning when I see you. Baby, you look good today. I'm on my way out to work. Did you pack my lunch?
Come on.
So much. You smell good. You look good. Thank you for doing this.
Help somebody.
All day long. Can't wait to see you. I bought you some flowers. Do you need anything?
Help somebody.
I just want to hold you when you get home because I know you've been through so much in your life. Big Papa's here to hold you. They don't know that. They don't understand what that really means to you. They don't get it.
Yes.
I said selfishness in a lot of men.
And women have to know, and some men, but because I talk to women, women have to distinguish the difference.
Right.
Between sexual, assault or abuse.
Exactly.
And, but they have to distinguish or love. They have to distinguish the difference.
Know the difference between the two. This is another show. That would be another good show. We got to get back on and talk about that.
Yes, it will.
We'll help somebody in that too, because that's all part of mental health. Your mental health, mental health with all of it. This is all a part of it. So we don't want to keep people too long, but I want to thank those that joined in and watched this show. Follow us, the Community Podcast page. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to YouTube, please, and like and follow the page. And then definitely, Margaret, tell them again how they can reach you so that we'll know how to follow you as well, because we're going to come back. We're going to do another episode on another topic that we just started that we need to talk about later.
Great. They can reach me at artistmcooper@gmail.com.
Artist?
mcooper@gmail.com. That's one way. And I would love for them to leave just shout at me right quick, leave their phone number, and I will call them right back.
Yeah.
They can also call me directly. I don't mind giving out my phone number.
Okay.
It's 682-244-8817.
We'll get it up here on the screen in a minute. And thank you for sharing that information, because a lot of people don't like to do that. But I'm glad you did that, because somebody might want to talk to you right away. Go ahead, repeat the number again so we can get it up here.
682-244-8817.
All right, you got it. And we're going to make sure that that's in. Yes.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to say this one thing about mental health too. Well, this other thing. Yeah. By the world standard, most psychiatrists would diagnose a person that has mental health challenges as a mental disease, and they, begin to prescribe medication and or therapy. But when in the spiritual sense,
mm-hmm.
it's actually the spirit of arrested development.
Mm.
We don't really talk about the spirit of arrested development. And these are demons that come to hinder a person's growth or their development, emotionally or spiritually. They come to block, they come to hinder, they come to obstruct the development. This is why some people with mental health challenges, they can't see themselves getting away from that. They can't see themselves from the past. They are always holding on to what happened to them in the past. Well, that's the spirit of arrested development.
Wow.
That spirit wants to keep them there so they won't develop,
wow,
won't get better, won't seek help.
Man, I'm so glad I had you on my show, because I learned something.
Well, praise the Lord.
Yeah, I learned something now. And like I mentioned to everybody that's watching and listening in, here's how you can reach Margaret. But she'll be back. She'll be back because she's a very wisdom-filled woman that has so much information that she can share with us to help you and help somebody.
Praise God.
But thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna hang around a few minutes, but don't go nowhere. I'm gonna put you back in the waiting room back there. I'll put you back in the room, but don't go nowhere because I want to talk to you after we get done. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I loved it.
Love it. Yeah. Hey, thank y'all for listening and watching. This has been a great episode. Man, I can't tell you how much it's helped me, and I'm sure it will help you as well, because each day I feel better when I'm able to talk about mental health and dealing with what I deal with, and dealing with what I know some people have gone through and just don't have that avenue or feeling like they don't know who they can talk to, and where it'll be a no judgment, because it took me a long time to find someone that I know that I can talk to. And she has been on my show as well out of Columbus, Ohio. But man, talking is good. Listening is even better. Talking is good, but listening is even better without judgment. All right, I'm going to throw this quote up on you before I leave, and I'm going to let this marinate with you before we leave the show. This has been a good show. But I want you to know, whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Right? By Martin Luther King. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining and watching and listening in. This is where you can find me. This is what I do, and this is what I love. I love helping you. All right? Thank you again. And whenever you feel the need and need someone to talk to, let's talk about it. But remember, I love you because I love me first.
Thank you for listening to Embrace It, the Community Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Follow the Community Podcast page on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Please like and share the podcast with your community circle.